history, the times gone by.
Coming up next, the Studios of Brampton tour.
That's, I think, one of the most important things that we should do.
Well, if you've ever looked at a painting or a sculpture and wondered how it looked like during the process it took to create it, this might be your chance. First Local's Andrea Black chatted with several local artists to find out more about an upcoming event, the Studios of Brampton tour.
Art comes from the heart. Right now in the heart of Brampton, you can experience a collection of local artists' work on display. And what you'll find is that the diversity of the community is reflected in the variety and uniqueness of the work, like Don Bunn's painting commemorating the pioneer log cabin.
The history, the times gone by, the pioneers coming in and settling and how they work.
Most of my pieces are based on some form or another. But this particular one is a close friend of mine.
Brampton's artists are very much like pioneers. They forge away in their labor of love and would one day like to see Brampton's art on a grander scale.
Yeah, I think we need to develop and move towards hosting international art competitions in Brampton and take the stage away from some of the leading cities in Ontario. And we all know who we're talking about.
These pieces are currently on display in order to entice you to want to see more. Because after all, what is life without a little color, vibrancy, and love?
This series I call Life is Beautiful. All those couples, they're having fun, drinking wine, and loving each other. That's, I think, one of the most important things that we should do every day.
The artwork will now be on display here at Brampton City Hall until the end of September. And then after that, the weekend of October 2nd and 3rd, you're invited to go to each individual artist's studio to interact with them, see them at work, and ask questions. In Brampton, Andrea Black, First Local.
You're watching Rogers TV Brampton.
We're really excited because today we have Kim, Marion, and Jay here with us from the Studios of Brampton tour. So hopefully they can give us a little advice on art
teach
and
us
everything
a
about it.
Welcome to the show, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. This is the first episode of the season, so it's exciting stuff, and especially bringing your artwork on the show to give everybody a little taste of what they can expect. So if we'll probably start with you, Kim, if you could just explain to us exactly what the whole tour is about and what people can anticipate.
Sure, I'd love to. The tour is really exciting. This will be my 3rd year participating in it as an artist, but we literally open our doors in Brampton. There's 12 studios, and it's all outlined on a map and on a website, and we'll be opening our doors on Saturday and Sunday, October 2nd and 3rd, and people are welcome to come in, meet the artists, see where we work, how we work, what we're producing, and it's a great opportunity to just chat. I mean, people bring their children, there's no admission, it's just a great opportunity to go out there and get in touch with art.
So are you actually completing pieces of art while this is going on so people can actually see you doing
Some
things?
of us are. I find the last couple of years I've had so many people out that's often my intention, but I don't really get the time because I just get chatting and talking to people about everything, and it's great.
And Marion, this is a great platform to actually show people what you can do. It's something that is a hobby to you or work to you, but you know, a piece of art to someone else, right? So.
Yes, not just, well, for me it's not a hobby, it's a full-time profession.
Yeah.
So it is for 20-something years. But what I find too, particularly in this day and age, most objects and art objects that people purchase are mass-produced. They purchase something that they see in a store. They never quite are in touch with the craftsmanship of art. And to see a painter or a potter, a sculptor, or people who are illustrators and so on, to actually see them producing something, that's almost a days gone by kind of occupation. And I think it's important for people to see that. This is where it comes from. This is your culture. This is part of your society. It's a very important thing to celebrate and to visit and to inspire. All of those things are important.
Oh, for sure. I'm assuming so. And do you find that it gives the buyer or the person, somebody who's buying a piece of art, when they look at it, they're like, oh, you know, this will look pretty good in my house, in my living room, in my kitchen, whatever. But once they meet the artist of it, it probably gives them a whole different perspective of what the piece really is, right?
It should, and then it becomes part of the story of your life because it's a conversation piece. It's something that you can relate to in your home, and as part of corporate decor as well. Paintings are an important part of business too.
Right.
People are collecting artwork that has value in the future, so it can be an investment too.
Exactly, and it makes sense. Now,
yes.
Jay, do you find it's a lot easier when somebody, is it easy to explain your artwork to somebody, or is it harder for people to get the point?
Well, me as a painter, as an artist, my language is colors, lines, forms, shapes. But at the same time, if I can explain something about my painting, what I do, I feel wonderful. And the person sometimes, as you were talking about, you know, piece of art could be anything.
Right.
But if you know piece of art is something which is hanging on your wall, you feel better. And when artists explain what he's doing, and he really knows what he is doing, you know, that makes a lot of sense for the people who buy art.
Right.
Rather than hanging anything on the wall and saying, this is my art.
So I have to ask this question. Do you ever find when people are looking at your art that they kind of interpret it in a way that you didn't interpret it in that way, and it bothers you, you know, where they're like, oh, I can totally see that, you know, with, oh, this round thing here means this, and that's not what you meant at all. Do you think that's neat, or do you think that kind of bothers you?
Yeah, maybe you're like, no, that's not it at all.
No, personally, I love that.
Yeah.
And I have seen things from other people's feedback. Other things have appeared in my work that I wasn't really consciously aware of. Like somebody told me they were photographing my work because I needed it professionally photographed, and they said, oh, you must really like native work because I use a lot of feathers and piece of wood, and they said it reminds me of dream catchers. I'd never made that association myself.
But it was pretty unique that somebody else
exactly.
did, right?
So when somebody else connects, I really pay attention to what their associations are, because often I learn more about myself and my own artwork as a result of it, as crazy as that is.
Yes,
it's really neat.
I believe in one thing, that when an artist is done with his work, with his creation, that becomes a piece for everybody, right? And
beautiful.
That piece of art, I believe that's a living thing, that's live, and it talks to different people in a different language, different connections, and even the images of what we create means something else to me, means something else to you, means something else to you.
Right.
And that's why I always say painting has its own stories to tell different people.
Right.
Different stories.
Right.
Yeah.
And it becomes an extension of each person that experiences it, looks at it, and then lives with it. And it says something about you. It says something about the way you live, your value structure as well.
Right.
So these are very important. It's more than furniture. Some people regard, well, I have to have a few art pieces around to furnish
Just
my
to
home.
Take up the space. Yeah.
Exactly, or to blend with my carpet or something like that. And it's not about that.
Well, does that bug you as an artist, that people are not probably taking in the art for what it's worth?
What a lot of people will do is they'll buy the art piece first,
Right.
like a painting, for instance, or a sculpture, and then they build that room around it.
Around it, yeah, that's true. That's very true.
So you pick up a color that is in that art piece, or a form that complements it, and that's a way to, say, decorate your home. You're decorating your soul as well, because art speaks to the person within. And so it's more than just a display of paper hangers and wall painters. This is a display of craftspeople and artists who are passionate and committed to their work.
So this is definitely a great way for everybody to actually, experience these artists' work and have a reason to, incorporate you probably into their home as well. Now, is this why this type of tour is important for, especially like the city of Brampton?
Oh yes, definitely. It's very important. Yeah.
It's essential.
It's essential.
It's
yeah.
essential.
People should know, their city. They should know there's so many creative people in the city, that they're doing wonderful work, they're wonderful paintings, wonderful pottery and sculptures, and it's wonderful to the community.
I'm going to actually cut you off right there. We're actually going to come back with these fine artists on Daytime. Stay tuned. We've got lots to learn about art.